Welcome to another rehabilitory project. In this video I'll show you how I built this 40-inch vertical spiral track. Now, my garage is not set up for a video, so I had to take still photos while building it. But I think it's enough to inspire you with your own project. I built this spiral structure to give new life to some track I acquired from Craigslist. The box of track included 6 banking turns, and I really didn't have enough room or power boosters to use all of them. The turns are similar to the Track Builder Turn-It letter F track, but with 3 small segments instead of just the 2 that come with the Track Builder set. I thought it would be neat if we could string the turns together in a vertical spiral so that cars would be pulled through the turns with gravity. Plus, it would take up a lot less space than a traditional layout with all of those turns. I also needed something to join the turns together. I tried some small pieces of straight track, but it just didn't work right. But I discovered that I had a small curve that had 3 segments, and those segments worked perfectly to join the 4 larger turns together. The part that I really had to think about was how to attach the track to the support structure without drilling holes or using tape. I wanted a design that would allow me to take the track apart easily in case I wanted to reuse the turns in another layout. I settled on using the support sockets on the back of the turn segments, but needed a simple alternative to using Hot Wheels track supports. I discovered that the head of a standard number 10 panhead wood screw would fit perfectly in the socket without damaging it, and yet still hold the track firmly in place. With that solution, it was simply a matter of selecting a few materials from the hardware store and figuring out dimensions, and then assembling the pieces. Here is a list of the items I needed to create the support structure. Just pause the video if you would like to write them down. The wood that I selected was poplar, so I made sure to drill pilot holes for all of the screws to prevent the wood from splitting. I started by testing some angles to determine the optimum height end to end that the curve should be placed at. I needed the car to accelerate enough to keep moving through the curves without going so fast that it would jump off the track, or going so slow it would slow down and fall out of the track, or the angle of the track would pull apart the curved segments and cause the cars to crash when it hit them. I settled on a 9-inch rise from one end of the curve to the other. I also wanted a support in the middle of the curve at the center segment, so each arm then would need to be spaced 4.5 inches apart vertically. Horizontal spacing was a different matter. That was basically just trial and error. I never really did see a pattern emerge even after I got the track attached to the structure. I added the first basic arm at 4.5 inches from the base of the dowel rod. I then marked up another 4.5 inches to give me the vertical position for the next support. And then I just used a curved track piece to determine where horizontally I should place that next arm. And then I continued to do the same thing all the way up the support structure. The support arms come in 2 styles. A basic arm, and that's an arm without the block on the end, and a connected arm, which has a block and screw on the end. Both arm styles are 8 inches in length, and they are supported by a 2-inch corner brace. I used the screws that were supplied with the corner brace to attach the entire thing to the dowel rod. However, the screws that came with that brace were too long to attach the actual arm material. The screws would have come through the wood and would have created a hazard for small hands. So instead, I used some number 10 machine screws, 5/8 of an inch in length, with a flat washer and a nut. I drilled 2 holes through the support arm using that corner bracket as a template. I needed 4 basic support arms and 4 connected arms, 1 of each for each curve. A total of 8 arms in all. Now I had a time delay launcher that I knew would be perfect for this spiral. I used a 12-inch piece of track to connect the launcher to the first curve at the top. I set the launcher at the same 4.5-inch rise vertically, so that would give the car a bit of a running start to get through the first curve. I couldn't quite make all of the angles work with the launcher and the rise, so I ended up using a scrap piece of yardstick to attach the launcher to that top support bar. The long top support is 2 of the 1.5 by 1/2 inch boards that have been glued together. I then screwed it into the top of the dowel, and to add a little bit of extra support, given that small hands would often be pulling on it, I went ahead and used a smaller 1-inch corner bracket. It's just something that I happen to have in my garage. I didn't buy it for this particular project. That larger top support arm is approximately 16 inches in length. Now the blocks that are used at the end of the connected arms, those were cut out of the 1.5-inch square lumber. They're just 1 inch long. So 4 of these blocks were needed, 1 for each of the curves. They're attached to the arm using the unused screws from the corner braces. Remember, I couldn't use those when I attached the arm to the corner brace, but I found another use for the screw. I then used a single number 10 1-inch panhead wood screw centered into that block, and the head is pointed toward the dowel rod, or toward the center of the structure. I left about a 1/2 inch protruding from the block so that the center segment from the curved track can be attached to the screw. Now the entire structure needs to be held up by something because it's just a dowel rod. So I created a base using the remainder of the 1.5-inch square lumber. I cut 3 pieces of equal length and angled the ends so that they would fit together and form a small triangle in the middle. The dowel fits snugly in that triangle. I didn't even have to use screws to hold it together. However, I find that I do have to place some weights on the base to keep the structure steady, whether I'm running larger cars or if I'm running multiple cars at the same time down the spiral. So you might want to experiment with something a little bit different for the design of your base. It's up to you. As you can see, the end result is a working vertical spiral. All but the slowest cars seem to work just fine on it. The best part is that curved track was saved from the landfill, and it's now being enjoyed by another generation of kids. You know what? I enjoy playing with it too. If you found something useful in this video, please hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, why not subscribe? Ring the bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching.